Welcome back to my channel. Today I am sharing with you the story of my infertility journey and my very first miscarriage that I had last year. I know this is going to be kind of a sad video, and I do have this plan to come out on Mother's Day, but that's just because I really wanted people to just kind of understand how where people are coming from when they're dealing with infertility or the loss of a child or anything like that, especially on Mother's Day. Last year, and the last few years, I have not been pregnant on Mother's Day, but it's still always just a kind of sad holiday because I want to be a mother on Mother's Day, but it's just not possible. So I will go through my story of just what we've been doing over the last couple of years and where I am now on this journey. My husband and I got married on August 2nd of 2015, which it'll be coming up on our 3rd anniversary. And I've always wanted to have a lot of kids. I wanted to have a big family. I am from a big family. I'm from a family of 10. And so maybe I don't need to have 10 kids, but I did want to have a lot of kids. I love kids. I was a nanny for a few years. I raised a lot of my younger siblings. So I know that this is something that I like. I've always wanted to be a housewife and a mother. I want to homeschool. There's a lot of things like that. My husband, I had told him that as soon as I met him, all the things that I wanted, and he was okay with that. He said, as long as we, have enough money to support them all, then that is fine. So after we got married, we started trying to have a child right away, and it just wasn't happening. So I had looked things up online where they're oh, do it on certain days. The tips that everyone knows, obviously, you need to have sex, and obviously you can't be on birth control, and just things like that, which I have never been on birth control just because I had heard so many horror stories about how it ruins your hormones and then you can't get pregnant later on. So I've never been on birth control. And so I just thought that, I was gonna snap my fingers and I was gonna be pregnant. All my siblings and my mom, they never had a problem getting pregnant. It was always very easy for them. So I thought that I was going to be the same way. In the back of my mind, I did always have, I don't know, I guess because that was something that I really, really wanted. I just had in the back of my mind that, I might have a hard time getting pregnant. Unfortunately, I guess, those nightmares became true. And so after a couple months of trying, I read the Taking Charge of Your Fertility book, which is great. I highly recommend that book. Even if you're not trying to get pregnant, it tells you about the natural family planning, and just in general, it tells you just so much about your body, and it's amazing, what your cycles mean, all this kind of stuff. I read that and I started tracking my basal body temperature, and that was the fall after we got married that I think I started tracking in September, October, or whatever. And, because they say that maybe you're not ovulating, which, all of these years now that I've been tracking, I do ovulate. So I don't think that I have any type of PCOS. I don't know, maybe I do. So people kept saying don't worry, it can take up to a year for healthy people to get pregnant. And at that time, I had been paleo for a couple years. I'd been gluten-free for a couple years, paleo for a couple years, and I was I was skinnier than I am now. I was probably 15 or 20 pounds less than I am now. So I was at a really good weight. I felt really healthy. And so I just couldn't understand why I wasn't getting pregnant. So you just kind of have to deal with my friends getting pregnant, or sisters getting pregnant, or every single person on Facebook getting pregnant. And so that was kind of a tough year, but it wasn't the hardest year, I feel just because I still had that hope where people were oh, well, it takes up to a year, don't even worry about it, because at my age, you cannot even go to the doctor and ask for help yet, because they'll just say, oh, you need to wait a year. A year came and went by, and then that fall of going on to the 2nd year, we lived in a very bad house that had mold. It was this old farmhouse. It was out in the middle of nowhere, and that was probably the hardest year, like I remember that December, like not wanting to go anywhere for like 3 weeks, like crying my eyes out, thinking I was never going to get pregnant. Like it was just, I was very depressed. And I don't know if it was because of like the mold or like exactly what it was, but it was like all of a sudden it hit me like, oh my gosh, a year went by, I'm not pregnant, there's something wrong. And so I like found, like I was reading as many books as I could. I had read this like How to Get Pregnant Naturally book. Like it was like this like fertility diet that you needed to do. So I did that. That didn't work. And I guess technically we had the money in the budget to like go to the doctor, but like my husband was also just like kind of worried because like he doesn't want it to be like his fault either. And so I know that he kind of like kept postponing like making doctor's appointments because like, I don't know, when you're in this position, you want to know what's going on and you want to know like how to get pregnant or why you're not getting pregnant. But then at the same time, like going to the doctor and then them telling you like, yeah, sorry, like you can't get pregnant, like that's kind of scary too. So it's just, I don't know, like you're in this like a weird stage. After that December, like I kind of just had to, I don't know, like suck it up. We were able to move into our apartment that I actually have the apartment tour on my YouTube channel. I can link that up above. So we moved into that apartment then that following April. So that was about a year and a half, almost, yeah, a year and a half of like trying. And so moving into that apartment, we were like, okay, like this apartment's much better. It could have been the mold and like the toxicity or something like causing me not to get pregnant, you know, the depression, all that kind of stuff. So we were like, maybe, you know, God has a plan for us to be in this better apartment to raise a child, because obviously you don't want to have a baby in like a moldy apartment. We're like, maybe it's going to happen now. So I also that spring, so that was exactly a year ago from where we are right now. So that spring in April, like April 1st or whatever, or May 1st, I started the keto diet that I am currently doing right now. And so I had made the switch from like paleo to keto, especially because I had like gained weight. I guess it was like the mold and the depression, I don't know, but like that like whole like time of like sadness and just stressfulness and like, and I was a nanny at the time, so I was dealing with like the emotions of like being kind of a mother but not really having my own child. And so just all that kind of stuff, like, I don't know, I put on weight, decided to do the keto diet. So started that in April, and then my birthday rolls around in May, and we went to a wine festival. We were just relaxing, and my husband had made an appointment for me to finally go get checked on June 15th. So I kind of like wasn't really thinking about getting pregnant. I was just like, all right, like gonna go, you know, see what's going on, all that kind of stuff. June 11th rolls around and my period doesn't show up, and I like take a test in the morning. I just had like cheap tests that I got from Amazon because, you know, if your period's like one day late, you're like, oh, I could possibly be pregnant, whatever. So took a test because I just wanted it to be negative so I could like stop thinking about it so my period would just come. And my husband was still asleep, and I was like looking at the test and I was like, oh my gosh, like my eyes are totally, like I want it so bad. My eyes are playing jokes on me. You know, I've taken so many other tests and they were negative anyway. And like, I was like, no, like I swear I see a line on this. Like, what is going on? So I woke up my husband and he was like freaking out because he didn't know why I was like, I don't know. I guess he could tell the tone of my voice. And I was like, you need to like check this. I was like, I think it's telling me I'm pregnant. And so he like walked in there and he was like, yeah, take another one. Like, and I was like, okay, like so we went to, we had church that morning. So we went to church, came back from church, and had stopped at Walmart to get like a real test, like one of the clear blue ones or the pink ones, I don't know, whatever it was, but just like a real test, because I was like, well, maybe these cheap ones, maybe they went bad or something. Took that, and over the course of like a few weeks, like I just kept taking tests, and like I was pregnant. So I was just like so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, like this happened. It happened naturally. Like all I had done was I did the keto diet for like a month and a half. And so I really like believe that keto was one, I don't know, maybe it like healed my hormones of some sort, or like something was right, because I got pregnant. So there's always that worry of miscarrying, and you know, my husband was like, well, don't get too excited because like things could still happen. But for me, like, I was just so excited. Like, I was like, I got pregnant. Like, that is a huge deal. I got pregnant naturally. This is awesome. And I was like, nothing is going to happen. Like, all I had to do is be patient and wait, and now I'm gonna have my baby. And so I was still a nanny, and I nannied for that, you know, summer. And then I was hitting 9 weeks. We had met with a midwife. We had picked the midwife, and I told her about my struggles of getting pregnant, and she was just like, oh, you look healthy, you look great, whatever, come back at week 10 so you can do your ultrasound. So I had actually flown to Texas to visit my sister. She needed some help. She just had her second child, and I flew down there. And the day I flew in, I started spotting, and my husband was not there. He still had to stay and work where we live. And I was like freaking out because I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is not supposed to happen. So I had emailed my midwife. I looked up a bunch of things online. Of course, online, they were like, oh, it's no big deal. Like, I spotted, and you know, whatever. Also, I did not have any morning sickness. Like, the whole time I was pregnant, I was not sick at all. Like, I did have the aversion to meat, but I was never like sick. Like, I was actually feeling pretty good. I was really, really tired, and my back would hurt. But other than that, like, I didn't have any like sickness or anything. I started spotting, and my midwife just said like, well, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, yep, that could be the start of your miscarriage, or it could not be. Like, there's nothing that you can do. So I had started spotting on Saturday, and I didn't have like any cramping or anything. So I was like, okay, it's okay. Like, maybe this just happens. One of my sisters it had happened to, and I was just like, all right, I just need to like stay positive. But when it came around to Thursday, then I started cramping. It wasn't extremely bad. Like, I guess because I was gonna be 10 weeks like the next day or something like that. Or no, I had just turned like 9 weeks the day before. So I guess because I was like still early, I guess that's why I didn't like super hurt or anything, because my mom had had 2 miscarriages, and I know that she was in a lot of pain during those. Started cramping, like period cramps, probably bad period cramps. And after a couple hours of cramping, like, I had taken a shower and like just started literally like bleeding like everywhere. And I like sat on the toilet, and the like placenta and the remains of the baby like came out, and I had gone downstairs and I had asked my sister like what to do about it, because it was very, very upsetting. I really was not trying to like cry on camera. I have not like retold this story, I think, since it happened, but anyway, I ended up like, we got a glove, and I ended up like putting that in a container because I wasn't sure if it could get tested for anything to see like why I had miscarried. And so I didn't get to leave then until I think that Saturday I was flying back. So I flew back and I brought all that with me. And then my midwife had said that no, they don't do any testing unless it's the 3rd miscarriage that you've had in a row. And so like I went back home, and I finally got to like be with my husband. And I mean, I had to tell him over the phone like what happened, and I know he was really sad that he wasn't like there for all of this happening. After that, it was just really weird to go from like being pregnant, you know, 1 hour or 1 day, and then not being pregnant the next, you know, especially since my sister had just had a baby and I was visiting. So like, we had been watching like a breastfeeding video together, and, you know, we had gone and looked at baby stuff together. And, you know, it was a very exciting time. And then it was just so weird that like everything that I was like planning for and looking at, just, you know, didn't matter anymore in like the span of, you know, a few hours or, you know, a couple days or whatever that happened. But anyway, everyone, like everything that I had read about, or, you know, people that I talked to had said like, oh, don't worry, like you'll get pregnant in 3 months, like you're super fertile after a miscarriage, so just, you know, be positive and you'll get pregnant again. But our due date was Valentine's Day. I am still not pregnant, and it is coming up on like the, you know, 1 year anniversary of you know, when I found out that I was pregnant. And so it's just kind of like between Mother's Day and you know, that like anniversary kind of coming up is just kind of a, I don't know, it's a hard time, especially because I finally started taking a progesterone cream. Long story short, I got pregnant naturally, but then I miscarried. And so the last like year or so that I've been kind of just like looking up like how, you know, what's the next step, I thought I should take progesterone cream, because I thought maybe that's why I had the miscarriage and that's why it's hard for me to get pregnant, that I don't have enough progesterone, and so it's not fertilizing an egg, or when it finally did fertilize that egg, possibly because I had gone keto, my progesterone levels might have been a little higher. And so I took that this month. And, you know, anytime I do something new, like I'm always thinking that like, oh, you know, I could be pregnant this month. I mean, literally you could be pregnant any of the month, but I am not pregnant this month. And so I just have to like keep on trucking. And because I had gotten so like down, you know, a few years ago with this whole thing, and then, you know, not getting pregnant right after a miscarriage, I kind of made my New Year's resolution to not focus on it too much like this year. Like I really wanted to focus on, you know, my marriage with my husband and just other aspects of my life. Like be thankful that I don't have to get a babysitter or whatever to go to a movie, or that I can sleep whenever I want, you know, things like that. But there are still months where like, I don't know, my maternal instincts like just kick in, and it's just like, I really want a baby. And so, you know, and it's hard with like a lot of my friends and stuff are getting pregnant, and I have to prepare myself for, you know, those announcements on Facebook or Instagram, or even like, you know, with my sisters and stuff, because they're all having kids right now. And so it's just a tough time. And I wanted to make this video because like, I really think that people don't, if they haven't gone through this, I feel like they really just don't understand you know, what to say to people that are dealing with this, or like what to do when you go through this, because, you know, there's always those things on Facebook, people complaining about their pregnancies or making jokes about, you know, April Fools and being pregnant and stuff like that. And like, that really does hurt. Like it makes me so upset that someone is literally sitting and complaining about their whole entire pregnancy. And then there's other people in the world that don't get to be pregnant at all. And, you know, I just wish people would understand like the journey, and I wish there was a bigger outreach. Like, you know, there's not very many books to read about it. There's not a lot of like, you know, in the churches that I've been to, like there's no support groups. There's not a support system. And I feel like it's taboo to talk about your miscarriage. And so when I had mine, like I posted it all over my social media. When it was the due date, I posted all over social media, because like, so many people messaged me and told me about their experiences having miscarriages and like how they felt. And then I felt like, you know, we're all able to relate to each other, instead of just always sitting back and thinking like, oh, they had no problem getting pregnant and they have like, you know, 3 kids and I'm sitting here like this. And so it's just really nice to be able to like relate and tell your story. And that's one of the reasons why I made this video, just in case any of my subscribers had also gone through this. I wanted you to know that I can connect with you on that level. Or, you know, I do feel like I say in my videos a lot like, oh, I'm trying to get pregnant and like things like that, but I didn't know if you actually knew my whole story. So this is my whole entire story so far of my infertility journey. And if you just have any like tips or maybe even success stories of how you got pregnant naturally, like go ahead and drop those in the comments. Let me know what you've gone through. Like I love hearing from you guys. I love hearing from anybody that has dealt with this, and I am very sorry for crying on camera. I did not mean to do that, but as you can tell, it is very near and dear to my heart. So anyway, I hope you have a happy Mother's Day for all you mothers out there. I do consider myself a mother. We had named our baby Noah. We did not know whether he was a boy or girl or not, but we named him Noah, and I will probably be doing some sort of, I don't know, something on Mother's Day for him. I made him a cake on his due date, so I'll have to figure out what I'm doing for Mother's Day. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. I'll see you all in my next video, not with tears in my eyes. Bye, guys.
When you don't move the mountains, I'm needing you to move. When you don't part the waters, I wish I could walk.